Words are the map of the mind, and if we've got the wrong words, we're going to have the wrong map in our mind. Let's choose our words carefully, and from our words, let's choose our actions carefully. Welcome to this series called Mental Language Series. In this video series, I'm trying to bring to light some sayings that we absorb wholeheartedly, some sayings which we believe are true, but they're either lies or they're at best half truth, and they need to be done away with. And the saying that I want to bring to your notice today is the saying of listen to your heart. Now, before we break this down, I do not want you to think of the binary, should I listen to my heart or should I not listen to my heart? First, we are going to understand what the heart is and why people say listen to your heart. Okay. Now, by heart, I'm assuming that there is a center within you that is not influenced by everything that happens. And the opposite to heart in this case would be the mind, where you have multiple options. You have option A, B, C, D, and based on what you've felt and experienced so far, you have a certain like and a certain dislike for them. So this is the mind, and the heart is something which knows something without previous knowledge of it. So if you see three things and you have previous knowledge of those three things, then your mind can decide what's the best course of the action. So when people say listen to your heart, they're referring to a certain kind of knowledge you have that does not come from memory. That's essentially what people mean when they say listen to your heart. It's often wrongly interpreted as do what you please. Okay, so first let us remove the misconception of listen to your heart as do what you please. Doing what you please is the lowest form of intelligence anyone can have, if I can even call that intelligence, because that makes you very mechanical, that makes you very animalistic, that makes you very lazy. In the Sanskrit terms, we say you're in a state of tamas, which is ignorance or apathy or absolute laziness. So, the first misconception I want to clear from your mind is that listen to your heart does not mean do as you please. Now we've taken care of that. We have said that the definition of listen to your heart is listen to that point within yourself which knows something without memory. Now, the reason most people are not suited for this advice is we do not know how to listen to our heart. Now, I'll tell you why we don't know how to listen to our heart. We are living in a world which makes us worship our rational mind, right? Which is why people who have a very good memory are considered very intelligent people, and which is why rationality has such a strong importance in this culture that we live in. So every time we make a decision, we rely on our memory, we rely on our previous experiences, our judgment of what is good, what is not good, and accordingly we take a decision. Now, the reason this advice of listen to your heart is not suited for people today is most of the time it gets interpreted as do as you please or do what really feels right. Now, doing what really feels right is the wrong decision because what you generally feel is a result of what you have practiced, right? If you've practiced eating burgers day in and day out, on any given day you would prefer a burger to, let's say, salad. So, how you feel has been conditioned by how you've been behaving in this world so far. It depends on the likes and dislikes that you have acquired, and you've not really been paying attention to that center within you which is aware of certain things without memory. Very few people are aware of certain things without memory of it. One person that comes to mind is Nikola Tesla, who could just conceive inventions in his mind and maybe in his first attempt bring them to fruition. A lot of people have to use trial and error as a method to navigate life. You cannot give a map to many people because, firstly, this map doesn't exist, and secondly, Since people have been trained as children to listen to rationality more than intuition, they need to experiment a lot and they need to gather a lot of data in order to understand what works and what doesn't. There are very few people who rely on pure intelligence to navigate through life. We've been conditioned by the education system to rely heavily on memory to make decisions. So, anytime we come across something new, our ability to handle risk and go at that new venture is really hampered because the education we've had in school is to prepare ourselves through textbook for exams. But when there is no syllabus and you're confronted with a situation that requires you to act, you often feel stifled. This is the reason why the younger generation nowadays does not show much interest in entrepreneurship or is far less interested in starting a venture of their own. Not to say this is good or bad, I'm just saying here's why the younger generation prefers employment. We've been conditioned to study for the exam through the textbooks and then appear for the exam, right? So we have been conditioned to rely on our memory instead of our intelligence. So anytime we face a new situation, we want to look at the past, see what the solution was, and based on that, build a map to the future. And this is why we will have to use experimentation in order to navigate through life. So, who really is qualified to hear the advice of listen to your heart? The only person who's qualified to listen to the advice of listen to your heart would be someone who perfectly understands the difference between memory and intelligence. Someone who knows when to rely on what has been learned, when to use techniques, and when to do something on your own. When you don't know the difference between the two, either you are so paralyzed by analysis that you don't take any action, or you act extremely foolishly and you cause more harm to yourself than anything. Very few people can strike this very delicate balance between intelligence and memory, and the only people who can do that are the only people who are qualified to hear the advice of listen to your heart. For everyone else, you do need to experiment and take baby steps and rely on your memory. Of course, in the long run, you will be able to rely on your intelligence, but this will take time, which is why the advice of listen to your heart is not suited for you.